Hey everyone, welcome to Baka-Talk, the anime podcast that is on the internet for some reason or another.
Yep,
I am joined by Wheeze,
I'm Wheeze.
and normally I'd be joined by Ramen Cat, but he is off having dinner with his mom
Yep.
because he loves her very, very much.
Yeah.
Alright, so, I don't know why that was funny, and I don't know why I just said that, but it felt appropriate.
Yeah.
But
It's true.
it is true. Yep. It's not in a weird way. Get your head out of the gutters.
It's just. Anyways, we have an exciting episode. It is the full, since Ramen Cat's not here, it's the full Attack on Titan special.
Right, because Ramen Cat has never and probably will never
I
watch
don't think
Attack
he's
on
interested in it at all.
Titan. I don't think so either.
But we have news. One of the biggest news, like most anime news, I just don't care about. It's like, oh, this show's getting a crossover with a mobile game. It's
Or
like, cool.
voice actress or voice actor has birthday.
Yeah.
That's what I always see on Anime News Network. I'm just like,
it's so
look up
many
news,
of those.
birthdays. Cool.
But
Alright.
this is actually interesting news because Zom
This is
100
newsworthy.
has revealed when they're finally releasing the last 3 episodes.
A whole heck of a lot sooner than we thought.
And it's on Christmas, weirdly enough. But
Okay, December 25th.
yeah.
Oh, that is Christmas.
Yeah.
I thought it was on the 26th. Never
No.
mind. I'm just stupid.
So
And it goes from on the TV broadcast, which is on,
Yeah.
I think, some Japanese. It was a weird channel. What was it called? Let me see. AT-X channel. No idea what that is. Actually, there's a link. I can click
there's
on it.
actually like 2. It's gonna release on MBS and TBS affiliate channels in Japan. Then they will air on the ATX channel. I have
Which
no
is
idea
Tokyo's anime satellite channel.
how. Okay.
All right, but anyway, so it's gonna go from. They're actually airing it at a weird time. They're gonna air all 3 episodes, and JST time. It's gonna go from 10:30 p.m. to midnight. So you get to finish out your I guess if you're Japanese or want to, would be JST time. Actually, that'd be like what, noon?
Yeah.
Going to like noon here.
Yeah, it's pretty close to like 12-hour difference.
Yeah, so I guess you can like go into your afternoon
Yeah.
of Christmas. It would be like that'd be the 26th. I don't know. I'm
I have
bad at
no
geography
idea.
time. I'm a podcaster.
It's either
I'm
a
not
day like further or a day behind. I have no idea.
I have no. Anyways, yeah. So they're gonna release all the episodes.
Yeah. So around Christmas, I'm sure they will. They'll be released Crunchyroll. Like,
Yep.
shortly
Starting
after.
with they have episode 10, Hometown of the Dead, and then I think that's the only title they have so far. Is it? Yep. So next episode, Hometown of the Dead.
Yeah.
Which for people that haven't seen or have maybe forgotten, because it's been a little bit, I guess, what, a couple months now?
Yeah.
Like a month or
Like
two?
a month, I think.
The last episode was episode 9, which we saw Hoodlums, or the mirror dark version of our protagonists. They're trying to release the zombies from the tunnel and have them. I don't know, like that whole plot line. We talked about it when it came out, but
we
like,
have
that
no
whole
idea
plot
what's
line
going
was
on.
weird because, like, I get that they're hoodlums and that they want to do wild things, but like that's a safe haven, right?
Yeah.
Why would they want the zombies to eat all the people?
They're just evil anarchists. I don't know.
Like, okay, like even evil anarchists would want like a place to stay.
I guess, yeah.
But anyways, that's a different discussion. We could talk about that when we watch
Yeah.
the last episode.
We'll have to do an episode on it once it airs. But it's cool that we actually get the release date, so we know when it's going to come out.
And it's before, well, very close, but it's before next year.
Yeah.
Which what we were all thinking it was gonna be like next year. But
yeah, it makes sense that they were close to finishing it. They're just not.
what I'm
right.
guessing, well, I think they had it finished. But what I'm guessing is by the time they figured out all the delays and like all that stuff, the TV network obviously had to end their slot,
Yeah, that too.
as well as I think the reason they got a slot so soon is because obviously during Christmas time, I know
It is.
Japan celebrates. I don't know how big it is, but like around
I
here,
think it's pretty big.
you can get pretty. The programming is always pretty messed up,
Yeah.
like wild, like all over the place on around Christmas and holidays. So I think it's easier for them to probably get like a special time slot
Yeah.
than to try to like line it up with another like regularly airing.
Yeah. It is a pretty big, like, pretty weird time that they're doing that too.
Yeah, and they're gonna do the last was it 3 or 4 episodes?
I think it's just 3.
So like,
Yeah, final 3 episodes, and they'll all be back to back to back. So that's also a weird time slot because it's usually once a week. So
yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I think they're able to pull it off a little bit easier just doing it all at once
yeah,
and like bring it to a studio or not a studio but a channel and be like, hey, can we air our show like just
yeah,
these 3 episodes like at this time? That seems a little bit easier to do than be like, hey, I want to just like 3 weeks.
yeah,
Can I produce my
yeah.
for
3
weeks?
random weeks.
3 random weeks, you know.
So that's pretty cool. We finally have release on Zom.
I'm excited. I wanted to finish Zom.
Such a good show.
I was getting so close to like despair that I was about to just like read the manga.
Yeah.
So I'd only have to like read like 3 volumes. To catch up.
Yeah.
But that's cool. And then you also said that I literally just started the transition. Noragami, yeah.
My favorite anime has the manga is about to end in February 2024, which is really cool because the authors, like one of them, because there's 2, had like gone on hiatus for like health troubles and stuff in like 2017.
Right.
So it wasn't people weren't sure if it was actually going to get completed, but then they came back and they're actually getting to finish the entire run, which is really cool.
That is actually super cool. And you don't see it sounds really bad, but nowadays or from past history, you don't see manga that's on hiatus, especially like semi-permanent hiatus like that. They usually don't come back.
Yeah, it usually just kind of fizzles out.
Yeah, which is really sad.
It is very cool that it's actually getting finished. It's not like a crazy popular series either, so it's cool that it's like it's being able to get finished.
No,
instead of
but
like...
okay, so this might sound weird, but from my data analysis, which is basically watching you, Ramen Cat, and like his girlfriend cosplay characters from Noragami, like it's more popular than you would think.
Yeah,
like,
it's decently popular, but it's not like Attack on Titan or like Hunter x Hunter, where if the author wants to write a chapter, they're just like, yes, print more money, please.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, I'll take your money. I mean your chapter. Yeah.
And then after season 2, like it didn't get another season. I heard it like season 2 didn't sell super well. So hopefully the ending of the manga brings renewed interest into the series and they can greenlight a season 3 instead of making Gunhead season 4 or whatever garbage they're greenlighting for anime right now.
Gunhead? Wait, there's more than one season of Gunhead?
I don't know.
You're joking about that, right?
That
was just a random anime.
No, there is an anime.
I know Gunhead.
It's not called Gunhead. I don't know.
There's no way though that
like No Guns Life.
No Guns Life.
I'm pretty sure it has a second season.
I'm looking this up. No, it does not.
Does it?
No Guns Life only has one, or at least on Crunchyroll.
Greenlighted.
You might want to.
No Guns Life.
It does have 24 episodes.
Yeah, it does have 2 seasons.
No.
Yeah, the 24 episodes is the second season, I guess.
Oh, well, Crunchyroll, in their infinite wisdom, just did 24 episodes.
Maybe it is just like one full thing. I don't know.
It doesn't.
I remember a stupid anime because it was made by like a big studio too. It was like Bones or something. And it's like, why are you greenlighting this?
Who made this
stupid show?
My dude, this is just Showgate. I don't know even. What's a rating in No Guns Life? 4.6. People like it. This is like the biggest detour of all time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna like drive us away from this. But anyways, okay, so Noragami ending the manga, like for one, so compared to what we're gonna talk about in a minute, that's actually really cool
Yeah,
that ends, because that means you guys won't have to wait any longer.
I know.
And it means I'll actually have an endpoint when I finally decide to read the manga.
Yeah, I need to get caught up and collect the rest that I'm missing.
Oh yeah, you were collecting that physically.
Yeah, I've up to like 12 or something. I don't know. There's like 20 in
I was
total.
just gonna say there's gotta be like 20 or 30 volumes.
Yeah.
It's a pretty long manga. That's sweet. So hopefully that happens. Like, do they talk about like when it's going to happen, or do they have like a timeline?
The finale
Yeah.
is going to be in 2024, early like February.
Oh wow, so they're doing weekly releases then,
I think so.
or are they just gonna
It's-
end it really soon?
Oh, it's monthly. So it's ending really soon. I think it's been in its final arc. Yeah, it says it entered its final arc in June 2022. I think the chapters are also longer than regular chapters. I'm not sure.
oh okay, so they're actually like 30 to 40 page chapters.
Yeah, they might be.
instead of like the 12 pages you get for like a lot of
Yeah,
shonen.
I think manga, usually monthly, I think have a little bit longer, but
That would make sense. Oh, cool.
But yeah, it's pretty close to being done. It'll be on its 26th volume.
26.
Or it released its 26th volume, so it'll probably have like 27 volumes
Interesting.
in total.
Well, I'm looking up Attack on Titan right now because that's another series that ended, and it's got 34 volumes. So
Yeah,
they're about pretty close in.
yeah. Noragami's not too long, which is also cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, on to our full special Attack on Titan review analysis retrospective of the entire anime, because we didn't read the manga. Partially,
why should we read the manga? Like, nobody. Attack on Titan was one of those few shows. Like, not very many people are like, "Oh yeah, just read the manga."
Yeah, that's true. There is a lot of people that read the manga, but I think one of the reasons is the art isn't
as good,
particularly great.
Yeah,
there are certain scenes that I know, like certain panels that are really, really cool, like the Titans like marching on the people that are like put up against.
Yeah,
like I've seen that panel, and those, like, some of those are really cool, but in general the art is just like fine.
Oh yeah, like I've seen where like Aaron gets his head shot off.
Yeah,
like that panel's cool, or like where Levi is like descending into like the Titans.
Yeah,
in the trees.
like there's some
cool.
really good panels, but also the animation is just really good. Like a season 3, I think there's like the scene with the Levi like zipping around, and it is just wild.
Yeah. Oh, like when he's fighting the Beast Titan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like those. When he's fighting real people because they're hunting him, his like old mentor and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Him.
Oh my
like,
god, that was such
scene
a cool art.
Is insane. Even in like season 1, where they're first like fighting the Colossal Titans and stuff, it's just the animation is crazy.
It's so good. Anyways, though, so yeah, we're gonna be talking about the end of the series. We'll talk about the entire series, but definitely talk about the end of the series, what we think. So spoiler alerts from this point on. You already got your news. All we're talking about is Attack on Titan, so you can skip or watch it. It's like what, an hour and a half?
Yeah,
just watch
There's
it.
just the last 2 specials,
and then come back and listen to us. I don't know, blab about it for half an hour or something.
So the first special came out like March or
6 months
something.
ago. Yeah,
and I watched it when it came out, and it's really good. The first like half of that thing is really strong.
Yeah,
and then the second half came out just recently, so I watched it cut. Like I watched those first 3 episodes basically, and then watched the next 3 episodes 6 months later, which is a little bit disorienting, and I think it would have been a better experience if they just released it all at once.
I watched it all together, and by far, I think that's the best way to do it. Like if you're gonna watch it, you definitely had a letdown watching it like in parts. I don't know why they did the parts.
It was really dumb.
No, like they should have just made it a 2-hour movie.
Yeah,
it would have been way better.
It should have been, but whatever. It was weird. Anyways, so regardless of how they released it, what did you think of the ending? What's your general thought of the ending?
Overall, I refer to the ending as the 2 specials.
Yeah.
So from the beginning of first special to the end of the second. It was really enjoyable to watch. It was kind of
Yeah.
bittersweet as well because like you're watching it and you're just like, oh yeah, this is awesome. I remember like why I love Attack on Titan
Yeah.
so much and like getting hyped. And then you're at the end, I'm like, oh yeah, this is just the end.
And
And
yeah.
then you just kind of start rethinking like you start thinking about like all the like, oh my god, like watching it like unlocked little memories like the past seasons, like the way
Yeah.
they did like the flashbacks, like it was really good. But I loved it.
I
I
liked it
mean,
a lot too. Because I've heard the manga, people that read the manga were like, the ending sucks.
yeah.
Like, it kind of ruins the series because of how bad the ending is. And I was waiting for some like really bizarre choice or just like something that would be terrible. And it just never happened. I was like, why do people hate this ending so much?
The only thing, like, if we're gonna talk about that, the only thing I can think of that would be an odd choice for me,
Hmm.
the only decision I found that was weird was the fact that Aaron talks to the entire group a couple times, and like we find out that he's like been bringing them into the past and like having full discussions with them,
Yeah.
and then like locking away their memories. The weird part, and I don't fully get it, I think it's just like smooth brain problems, but like the fact that he didn't stop. And it felt
Yeah.
like to me he could have, and things would have been similar if not the same, and he would have been alive. But like
Yeah.
it's weird to me that he decided that his only route was for them to actually kill him.
Yeah. Which is kind of explained. And I like the explanation of one, he explains it as he's just stupid. He just like
Well, that's what I'm
he
thinking.
couldn't
Like,
figure it out. Like he
yeah,
couldn't get anything better than this. The
I
other
did like that explanation, and
Yeah.
but to me that just felt like like okay, this is gonna be a lot of words saying stupid, but to me as a stupid person, felt like that was a stupid answer to a stupid from a
Yeah.
stupid person.
That thing is interesting. We can talk more about it in a minute. But like the generally I I do see some criticisms because I looked up like what is people's problem with this?
Yeah,
One is I think the manga did it worse. I think in manga form it would be more like kind of choppy and like kind of
really.
unsatisfying because
I was thinking the same thing. Like, think about how it'd be laid out in like panels
yeah.
and manga. Like, a lot of the ending for us felt really good because it had like the production, the music,
Yeah.
the voice acting. Like, but in manga, you're just like looking at a panel, next
Yeah.
panel, next panel.
And
Like,
like the panel, like I can just imagine the panel of Aaron just being like, "I don't want Mikasa to forget about me," and it's like, "Oh,
yeah,
this
and then
is
he's just like, I
super
don't
lame."
want to die. And
Yeah,
it's just like, then why
it's
are
like what
you
the
doing
heck?
it?
So one of the things that I think is a critique that I have of the ending is it was a little bit fast. It does feel like I think this is a major problem in general in manga is that they come up with this wild story, especially for shows like Attack on Titan,
Yeah,
that is so massive and broad in scope and everything that's going on that they get to the ending and they're like, I need to wrap all this up because I'm on the final arc. I can't just stretch this on forever. I can't let this arc go on, for 100 more chapters. So when they're tying everything together, it's just like this thing here, this thing here, this thing here. And it just kind of feels a little bit like choppy and disorienting because it's just like, oh, we need the resolution of Aaron
yeah.
and Mikasa's relationship. We need the resolution of why Aaron is doing this. We need the resolution of why the Ymir, the like original Titan person,
Why she was doing all this?
why she was doing what she did, why she stayed with the king
We
and
needed like
stuff like that.
Armin's like final character arc
Yeah.
in like yeah.
And so wrapping all that up together in what in the manga is like 10 chapters or something is like just pulling so many things to like try to get it
Yeah.
connect while also just having an interesting like fights and stuff that's going on is really hard. And it does feel like it could have been maybe because I know manga is a weird medium because they write it like weekly or monthly or whatever.
Mhm.
So they do have like the authors definitely have plans of what they want to happen, but they're also just kind of writing it like as it comes out, which is so bizarre because movies aren't made that way. Books are definitely not written that way. Like you plan it out or you write it and then you go back and edit it, and they just can't go back and edit things. So they put this moment that's going to connect to this next moment, and you can't change that original moment to fit with the
Yeah,
current moment.
there's no like in a movie you can finish the movie
Yeah.
and then realize your act 1
Yeah.
doesn't
And you need to
explain
rewrite it.
act 3 like it
Yeah.
should, so you can go back and rewrite it. But this season 1 or volumes like 1 to 5
Yeah.
were done in like, well, the volumes were like
10 years
2000,
ago.
like between 2009
Yeah.
2011. And now you're in 2021, it's like, how do I end this? Like
Yeah.
for manga wise, you're just like, I have this giant like Game of Thrones for anime style story,
Yeah.
and I literally just have this young adult guy killing 80% of the world. Like, what the
Yeah.
hell am I doing at this point?
There's some of the like interviews with the author where he's just like, I wrote whatever I wanted to at the time. It's just like how
That's
his
how most
thing
people
was,
do
like,
it. Like
it's like,
you have a cool story
yeah,
setting. You're just like, I'm just gonna write whatever I want. I just have an
like
angsty teenager
this,
killing giant
yeah,
titans.
this was the most
Like,
interesting thing for me to write at the time, so that's what I wrote. And so it's really interesting, but I think what that's the reason why a lot of anime endings are so bad,
yeah,
is because it's hard to get all that stuff together. And I think it's also like you've been working on this for like 10, 12 years or whatever. You're just like, I want to finish this thing, and then it's gonna like take way too long if I go on all these tangents, or and then I didn't start to like wrap up stuff early enough where I have to pull everything together at the same time.
right.
So I think that's the one of the problems with it, and I feel like it's probably more obvious in the manga, but I did notice like I enjoyed the ending and there wasn't any decisions that I was like, this is so bad, like why would they do this?
Mhm.
But it also wasn't like I super cared all the time about everything either. Like Ymir thing of like she was in love with the king and it was just a weird thing. She just has, obvious problems from everything she went through.
Yeah.
But it was just like I didn't really care. It wasn't that interesting. It was just like
Yeah,
that's the reveal. She's in love with him. It's like cool.
the whole past
I never
history
really
of the
cared.
Titans, I didn't care about.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
I was
like
just like, okay, that explains why Aaron has the Titan powers.
Yeah.
Now. Like that explains the route to him. But like, it's kind of like post history.
yeah.
Like when you're talking about like history, like during like the Dark Ages or whatever, just like it's cool, but in a way, like to me, I
Yeah.
don't really care.
Yeah, and it kind of felt like that where you didn't get into the character herself because she never spoke, she never like did anything.
Yeah.
She was just kind of there. And it was like she chose Mikasa for this decision and all this stuff. And it's just like
That fell out of the blue.
I don't care about this at all. Like
Yeah.
I don't care about her or why she did anything. So like that reveal was just kind of nothing to me. I don't hate the decision. Some people hate it because it's like problematic or whatever, but it's like it's just whatever. It's not super interesting. She had like a messed up, like her whole family was murdered and then she fell in love with the person that murdered him. She was all like screwed up in the head. I don't really care that much about her. She was kind of an antagonist throughout the series, but like
Well, she's one of those characters.
in an
Like, I don't think she
uninteresting
has a
way.
single line of dialogue.
Yeah, no, she doesn't.
So it's like you're not like even in the back, the whatever you call them, backstories or whatever,
Mhm.
the flashback scenes. It's mainly like from the point of view as like a storyteller telling these things.
Yeah.
Like you never get to like personally like see that time that much or like personally get to like witness what she's going through. Like you
Mhm.
see it,
Yeah.
but it's almost from like a third party's observer.
Yeah.
Like it's not
That
like
is the thing. Like it's explained, but it's just told to you. So it's not like you care about
it would have been
the
different
situation.
if like even if they did something weird where it was just like 2 or 3 OVAs
Yeah.
of just like the history and it was a little bit more like personal type of thing.
Yeah.
I think maybe I would have cared about it more. But overall, yeah, I definitely didn't care about like that whole like the founding Titans thing and then like how she was technically I think they were entailing that she was yes being controlled by Aaron, but she was as much controlling Aaron
Yeah.
and Zeke, or what is his name? Zeke or Zach?
Zeke. Yeah.
Like she was controlling them as much as they were using her.
Yeah.
And that's like why it was just like a vicious circle of why the rumbling was going
Yeah,
on.
and I think that was also the concept that it plays into of like all the Titans being connected
Yeah.
through her. So it was like her will is also Aaron's will, is also like every Attack Titan's will in history, because
Right.
they all connect and stuff. So that stuff is interesting, and it kind of shows why they're all screwed up in the head too, because they all see like everything going on, and like
Right.
they know the
Yeah.
future and the past, and they're living in it in the same time and stuff like that. So like, and her just, it's a weird like humanity connection thing that's going on. So other things is like the action was cool. I like how it kind of goes full circle back to how the beginning of the show was with the action, where it's like this ragtag group trying to defeat titans.
Yeah.
And it kind of felt like the beginning, and like the same thing. Like, we have this massive threat. We don't really know anything about it. We don't know how to defeat it, but we're gonna try to fight it and kill it.
Well, and it's like it's this whole entire like ending was just everything going in a full circle.
Yeah.
So it was really cool seeing like these like elite troops fighting things that they can't understand.
Yeah.
Like they were good at killing it. They figured out real quick how to kill these things, but like it was like numbers versus like a small group. Like,
Yeah.
it was really cool.
I love how they overpowered Levi so much that they had to
Yeah.
nerf him by injuring him like
That
every
was
chance they
great.
get. Because it was like, this guy just like would kill every Titan so easily. He's just so insanely strong. So
Well,
we
it's
need
like
him to
he
be
had-
injured.
He had 2 fingers on one hand, no
Yeah.
eye.
Yeah.
His leg got basically bitten off like within the first half an hour of the first special
Yeah.
episode. Like this poor man.
I have to say, I really liked his ending. I do wish there was a little bit more focus on it. It wasn't possible because so much was crammed
Yeah.
into it. But like, he finally got to kill Zeke, which is super satisfying. Zeke kind of had a full circle thing of kind of like, what he wanted was to like wipe out the Titan people.
Yeah.
And so he was like, this is not what I wanted. And then he realized he kind of had the will to do something. So he pops out so that Levi can kill him. And then Levi just does not hesitate. And it's
I
so
love that. It was
satisfying.
just is basically wordless. No
Yeah.
like monologue. Like we get like Zeke saying, "Oh, it's a lovely day outside.
Yeah.
Too bad I can't enjoy it." And then his
Enjoy it.
head just comes off. Nothing else after that
It's-
either. Like
yeah.
it's no like usually in a death of that type of character, there's like at least like 5
Yeah.
like the 8 minutes of like just focusing on that. It's just like dead.
It is.
Moving on.
It's so satisfying because Levi's just like, I want to kill this guy so bad. He's killed so many of my comrades.
Yeah.
I mean, he killed Irwin. Like,
He
Levi.
killed the entire scout regiment.
Yeah.
basically.
Levi just does not like this guy at all. And then he sees this, it's like, what the heck? And then just kills him
Yeah.
without hesitation.
That's not
It's
even
so
thinking like,
great.
is this a trap?
Yeah,
like, what's
because
going
like,
on?
I was waiting for him to be like, oh, maybe he's sacrificing himself, whatever. He's just like, what? Okay.
And
he's
then
dead.
all the past Titans. Another part I did like was like kind of in a way we got like an ending character arc for all the past Titans
Yeah.
too. Like which was interesting. Like the Jaw Titan, he died. The old Colossus Titan,
Yeah.
like all of them, like them being able to break free of Ymir's will
Yeah.
and like help the group was kind of, it's like it wasn't a big moment, but I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it is cool. And
Like,
yeah,
that's
seeing
cool.
all of them like come back, kind of, it's all really weird and like kind of existential or whatever, of like these people that are dead but are still connected through Ymir's power.
Well,
and
it's
like,
overall
all
it's
this
just like
stuff.
time doesn't
yeah,
matter,
and time is kind of screwed up. So
which was interesting. I liked it. Also at the same time though, I kind of wish not every single major story didn't focus on like time
yeah,
manipulation. Like I don't know, it just seems like nowadays
it is. Yeah, it's a bizarre concept. And also the like, I don't always love when stories have literally everything come back together, because
Yeah.
it feels unrealistic. It feels like it's written instead of like an actual story that happens.
Yeah.
So like having them all like kind of get their will back to like to defend against, to like not
to
attack,
kind of go against
Yeah.
Ymir's will.
which
Yeah.
it's an interesting like idea and stuff, and it's not terrible, but it's just not always my favorite kind of storytelling.
Yeah, it was interesting. I enjoyed it for what it was, which was just kind of like that plot device moment
Yeah.
of our old comrades, or even sometimes our old enemies, are gonna come back because what the ultimate will of humanity is what they desire.
Yeah.
They don't desire their own or Ymir's.
It's also showing like Armin's like his mind is the thing that always like got them out of trouble.
Yeah,
And so his mind is also what's like fixing the end. He's just like figuring stuff out and convincing people of stuff.
that was really cool. What did you think of the what's a good thing to start up? What did you think of like the whole like surrounding the ending? So obviously the ending is like we see the rumbling like wipe out a lot
Yeah.
of cities, and then we see the ending of like this tower base with a bunch of refugees on it.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of interesting. Like there's a couple times there where I thought it was just gonna go full circle and like the refugees and the soldiers, because like one
Yeah.
was Marleyan and the
Yeah.
other one was Elduin.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were just gonna kill each other.
Yeah.
Like there's one time I thought they just did.
Yeah.
Like that was an interesting plot that they're having. Like the struggle between actual humanity
Yeah.
was still
was, like-
going on even during the rumbling.
Yeah. And it was like a little piece of like, this is why this, like the rumbling has happened is because of this thing.
Right.
And like, can they put aside their differences? And this is what they're saving too. Like they're saving these people. So we give you like actual characters to like.
It was
care
really
about.
cool. And I liked how they had like the parents of like the warriors,
Yeah.
the Titan warriors, like there and stuff like that.
Yeah. That was a cool like thing that was going on. And it definitely could have subtracted from it, but it just fit like super well.
It did.
the
And I
series.
felt like even when they all turned into Titans for like a minute.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, oh no, they really just put them all there so they can have another
Yeah.
like plot thing.
I'm glad they didn't like they reversed it. Like
Yeah.
it was also cool though seeing Connie and what's his name?
It's not Marco. It's
yeah,
Falco?
No, it's
I have it.
it's
on my
the main
phone right
character.
now.
Oh, he has a weird name.
Is it a weird name?
Yeah, because it's Connie and Jean.
John.
He
That's a weird name. Yeah, John.
Jean. It's like French
Yeah.
John. But anyways, he like them just like standing back to like next to each other. They're the two characters that have like survived all of this. They were always just kind of background characters. Like Jean especially I think is an amazing character because he has a whole like you see him develop and change throughout the story without the focus ever being on him. Like Connie has some focus on him during some of his backstory, like
Yeah.
his mom gets turned into a Titan and all that stuff. But like Jean just doesn't have any of that, and he's such a well developed and interesting
Well,
character.
it's like John was or Jean. I think it might be Jean.
Yeah, it's Jean. I don't know.
Either way, G. I always heard it.
It's like a French name spoken in Japanese.
Jean.
Yeah.
Jean, like denim jeans, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care. He was almost like an antagonist
Yeah.
for like season 1 and I think a little bit in like 2.
Mhm.
Like he was that bully character, like
Yeah.
the military school and like the regiments and stuff, which was it's interesting to see that like a character like that. And there wasn't no major like fighting or anything.
Yeah.
It was just like he was always there, kind of like the one that was like always talking against
Yeah.
Aaron and stuff like that. Like it was cool how he went full circle.
Yeah. It was really cool.
Like-
He's an awesome character.
And Connie going from like that troublemaker, like funny guy, with,
yeah,
like,
and being,
Sasha and stuff, in early
Terrified
season,
and
yeah,
everything.
to like a full on elite soldier.
Yeah, and
that
them
like
just like having their hands on each other's back and just like, well, this is how it is.
that's how it's gonna go. That was kind of like just like, well, I wasn't expecting us to die this way.
Yeah.
but alrighty.
So that stuff was cool. Now the going back to the Aaron's deal. So
Aaron's deal.
partially partially the ending was like, because this is I guess a little bit spoilers for Code Geass, but it was like, oh, it's just doing a Code Geass. It's like the same ending.
Oh,
The
like
same concept of like sacrificing yourself, pretending to be the villain so that
oh, right. Yeah.
it's kind of the same thing. The difference
becoming the martyr, the savior.
yeah, like the difference in this one is that Aaron legitimately is evil.
Yeah.
Like part of
he
his
knows
thing
he's evil
was
too.
like, I why like part of because it goes through why he does this in backstories where he talks to people and then erases their memories so that history plays out the way he wants
Yeah.
it to. And part of the reason he does it is because he's stupid. He can't think of like a better way to like fix
I
this.
do like that. Like just the way you
He
say that. He's
yeah,
just like he's
he's
stupid.
just like, I'm an idiot. This is just what I do, and I can't stop it, and I can't like do anything. It's just, yeah. And the other reason is he wanted to. Like
Yeah.
he was like, I want to trample the world. I hate my enemies. Because that was always his thing from the beginning too. It was just like, I'm gonna kill all the Titans.
Yep.
And then it just became, these are my enemies. I'm gonna kill all of the people.
Yeah.
The moment in like the ending of season 3 where they finally get to like
The beach.
the beach, and then he's just like, if we kill everyone over there, will we finally be free? And it's
That
like
was a
that is
great scene.
yeah, and
It means so much more when you think about
yeah.
like it. I think even back then he kind of knew. What did he have the founding Titans power back? He did not.
I think he did at that point because it was as soon as he touched Historia in the
Yeah.
third season, is that everything, like all of it clicked. And then he was like, now I know the past, I know the future.
Right.
And now he's like terrified and kind of like screwed up. So there's that. There's also that it's part of the idea is like he's a slave to freedom. Like he has to do everything he can to be like totally free of everyone. Mostly he's just a psychopath. But it's a really interesting idea that his head is kind of screwed up because he sees the future and the past and the present as all at the same time, which is really interesting. So he's like, he's still a kid playing with his friends while he's also just like murdering 80% of humanity. And so, and he's like stuck in that too. So it's
Yeah.
not like, it's not totally time travel because it's not like he can go through with this and then go back and then change something and then go through with that or whatever. It's like he has like possibilities in his head kind of, but he's also kind of stuck, is what I like gleaned from it, is that he knows what's going to happen in the future, but that doesn't mean he can change it. It just means it's going to happen because that's what he chose
Well,
to
in
do.
a weird way, because he was in the future, the present, and the past, technically all at once, like
Mhm.
mentally. And he says when he's talking to Armin,
Mhm.
he says, "I tried it so many different ways,
Yeah.
and when this was the best
Best
way
way.
to do it,
Yeah.
which was killing 80% of the world." And he's just like, "I tried it so many different ways." So that tells us that, like, obviously, I don't think he like. I don't know. He might have physically done it. Like in the
Yeah.
future, he might have done it differently each time. But like, I think it simplifies either he thought of so many different ways and none of
Yeah.
it worked out in like his memories,
Mm.
that this was legitimately the only way. It's kind of like that Doctor Strange moment in Infinity
Yeah.
War or Endgame where he's just like over 100 or 10,000 different variations, and this is the one time that we win.
Yeah.
Like,
And I think that was kind of because is he can kind of go back and like tell people things, and like it's like his memories. It's a weird thing with memories because it's your memories as one Attack Titan is brought over to the next Attack Titan, so they have your memories, but you also
right.
have their memories. So he remembers Aaron, like Aaron's dad has Aaron whispering in his ear, like, "You
That
have
was a
to do
wild
this."
scene in season
Yeah,
4.
that was like such a crazy like twist. And so having that, so it's like a weird thing with memories because it's not like I don't think it's literally happening. It's not like timeline split off or whatever.
No,
It's
I don't
just
think
like
it's actual separate timelines.
it's just he makes everything, he makes sure it happens the way that he is
Right.
supposed to happen. And I feel like he's trapped in that too, where it's not like he can change it. It's a weird thing, but I feel like it's not totally fate because he gets to choose it, but it's not totally like time travel. You get to manipulate everything because he doesn't really.
Right,
'Cause
and that's what the meaning. That's the words that he's saying. I'm a slave to freedom.
yeah,
Because like he's free to choose,
mm-hmm.
but he's a slave to this option that gets the thing he
Yeah.
wants.
It's a really interesting story. I'm trying to think of another thing that does it like this. Kind of like ReZero has something similar to this, where when he dies and goes back, things tend to play out the same, even though he tries to change things. Like it's really hard for him to get to change like how the world works, because
Yeah.
it always just ends up with him dying. Like even if it's not the same way, it's like he died. Like Steins Gate does this,
Yeah,
where like
yeah, this is very much like
there is
Steins Gate.
the way future is, and Steins Gate can actually like you can actually change it, but in this kind of time travel, it's kind of like if we went back in time but still couldn't change anything. So you're living through your life knowing that you can't do anything different than what you've already done.
Yeah,
And that
it's
feels
like
kind of what the idea of this
it's
is.
like
Like he changes the past kind of by whispering into their ears, but he had always done that. Like
right.
there wasn't a different timeline where he didn't do that. It just always happened.
Right, it always happened. That's where like the full circle things come
Yeah.
in. I think this is a good time to like talk about the actual ending. I
Mhm.
guess like why people were kind of mad about the manga
Yeah.
is like Attack on Titan with that being a slave to freedom, with being able to see everything. It's just a giant circle.
Yeah.
Like we see Ymir finding the bug, the Titan bug or whatever it's called,
Mhm.
and becomes a Titan in the founding Titan. And then Eren becomes the attack Titan, which then gets the memories and
Yeah.
then becomes a founding Titan. That's like, and then at the end of it all, after Eren's dead and the world's saved, we see the world develop and then collapse again.
Yeah.
And then we find another person going into the tree
Tree.
to become a Titan again. Apparently,
Yeah,
we
maybe.
don't know for sure. He could just see a bug and bash his head in.
Yeah.
We don't know, but
It could be, yeah, I'm not sure because it is very similar to the way that Ymir originally got the Titan like power.
yeah,
So I don't know if it's that again or if it's something different. It's kind of confusing because it does seem like they killed it. Like they killed the Titan thing. But I don't know if there's
but
still
at the
part
same
of it.
time, Eren
Like, is there?
was the Titan thing as
Yeah,
well. Like I don't know.
because
It's
they
weird.
killed the Titan thing, so they lost all the Titan powers. But it is possible that there's more of that because it was like the thing was like the first. It was like
Was the Titan
the
essentially?
origin of life or something.
Yeah.
It was like something bizarre. So I don't know if that's like still if it still exists like under the tree or whatever, but it's also possible Aaron like his like body turns into it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, his head or whatever.
So
It's like it's hard to say. But what did you think? What did you think of the ending? And what I refer to that is like the title credit ending.
of like of watching society like change and then become like war
Yeah,
torn and stuff. I didn't dislike it. It was kind of interesting. It kind of fits with Attack on Titan's like thing,
yeah,
which is just like humanity is always gonna do this and it's just gonna keep happening. And I think it's kind of like a pessimistic look at it, which is interesting, but it's true. Like there's always been wars and there will continue to always be
right.
wars. But it's also like the Attack on Titan war is way worse than whatever war happens later, probably.
Well, and that's like that is like it brings up a little bit of discussion of like the last war. Like we see a war of like turrets and gunfire, but then we also see like that destroyed city getting like nuked. So was
Yeah.
that a worldwide nuke, or were they
Yeah.
just
Was it
nuking
just
the island,
certain cities?
paradise?
Yeah,
Like,
whatever.
was it like a war of? Was it a world war, or was it just like humanity finally fighting Paradise Island, like the thing that like
Yeah.
Aaron was afraid of?
It
Like,
seems like one of the ideas at the end is that it made it fair because it used to be like in World War II or whatever. The war, technically there's bigger countries and more powerful and whatever, but the war is like fair. There's no like actual better race of people that could fight better than everyone else and just
right. It
annihilate.
wasn't like
Like,
the Axis or the Allies
yeah,
had mechs
they
or
yeah,
like
they
Titans or something that could just decimate a
yeah, the
battlefield by
people there
themselves.
weren't bulletproof people. Like
Right.
everyone dies the same. So having like that so the idea of having like people that are just by their blood superior like physically to defeat other people is like really dangerous thing, and it's kind of like some of the like concepts around nuclear weapons and stuff. This is the most overpowered weapon in history, so it's like unfair to have it and use it as like one of the ideas of war conflicts and Geneva conventions and stuff like that.
Well,
Of like,
it's the mutually assured destruction
yeah,
plan. Like all the countries, all the big countries, some people say all the countries that matter,
yeah,
have nuclear weapons.
yeah.
So if one nuclear weapon gets set off, everybody dies.
Yeah.
But in Attack on Titan,
Only one country has.
Marleyans didn't have that. Like they
Yeah.
had the Eldians that like obviously enslaved
Mm-hmm.
that fought for them, but besides for that, like they didn't have their own Titans.
Yeah.
Like they died because they were just puny humans in armor and stuff.
It was just like totally unfair.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting thing because it was like the Marleyans were like the oppressive people, but they were only oppressive because the other people were so much more oppressive once they had their power.
Yeah.
Because like the rumbling is just like obey me or literally everyone dies, and it's up to one person. It wasn't even
obey me. It was just like
it was
you're
like,
all
yeah,
gonna die.
We're just gonna take over. So that was an interesting thing of what Aaron's. So Aaron did accomplish something, and I like that it wasn't like, oh, it doesn't matter because wars are going to happen anyways.
Yeah.
It was like wars are still going to happen, but wars like this aren't going to happen again.
Right.
You aren't going to have these people that just have these stupid abilities that can just destroy everything. It's not going to come down to one person who touches two people together and suddenly becomes like immortal, basically.
Yeah.
So that was interesting, like, concept. And then he also like set it up so that there would be some semblance of peace because the enemies, Erwin or Mikasa and Armin, are suddenly the heroes of Marley.
Yeah.
But they were also like the people from the island. So, and they have ties to Historia and stuff. So it was the idea that hopefully they could be like the ones to bring peace.
And obviously they do.
Together.
We see with like the credit scene, like they grow old and they die.
Yeah.
Like we see that like Aaron's people that he cared about, the people that he truly wanted to save.
Yeah.
They had a happy life.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just like it kept on going afterwards. It kind of kept on going, and it shows that like Aaron won, but at the end everything goes back to normal.
Yeah.
And no matter what choices he made in the end of it, things are going to happen the way they happen. And most of the time, unfortunately, it's humans fighting humans.
Yeah.
Like humanity just can't stop.
Yeah.
Like war never changes, as Fallout says.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, just kind of how it goes.
So it was an interesting idea, and I like it, and I feel like it fits with Attack on Titan, because Attack on Titan was never like, we're gonna kill the Titans and then it's gonna be all peace and like everything's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Like it was never that. And then Aaron's always been like an extremist. And I don't think it shows Aaron as a good guy. Like, I think that was the point of his like ending thing of being like, I don't want Mikasa to get over me right away, even though he says like he's like, get over me and just like have a nice life. But like really deep down he doesn't. He wants people to care about him. He's just like a pathetic human like everyone else.
Yeah.
He's
not this all-knowing superhuman that's not everything out. He's just like
you
I'm
said, an idiot. This is the best. This is the best situation I could come up with. Also, I don't want to die. Also, I wish the girl that I liked would not get over me right away. I hope she like stays crazy about me.
One of the cringiest yet best moments I've seen in a show in a while.
I really like stuff like that, and people get upset about it, and I think it's just like a dumb pride thing about like my character's so cool. Like Aaron isn't cool. He's a loser. He's like a psycho. He's murdered like a ton of people. He's not like a good person.
I can say this. Yeah, he's basically Hitler.
Kind of, yeah.
He hates people.
He does. He hates like people based on what they've done to him that he perceives.
And he wants to kill them all, but in the way like I don't think the creator of Attack on Titan was thinking this or anything like that. Like in a way though, he was still a person like anybody else, and he still wanted to help his friends. Like he did a horrible thing.
Yeah.
And like his friends had to stop him to keep him from keep him from killing everybody, but at the same time, like they're all the bad guys.
Yeah.
Like they even say like they've been saying it since like the start of season 4, like when they start killing other people. It's just like they're all bad people. now.
And like the season 3, it parallels with where Irwin takes over the government because they were a fake government and all that stuff.
Yeah,
And in the end he was like, I like, am I are our people really going to do any better at protecting everyone than the fake government
yeah.
was? Like, probably not. But I wanted to survive. They were going to kill me, so that's why I did this.
Yeah, I remember
And
that
it,
whole coup scene was
and
cool.
then the Zachary, the guy that he like did the coup with, was like, I don't have any high like moral reason for doing this. I just hated those snobs and I wanted
Yeah.
to humiliate them. And he does like the weird torture stuff to him afterwards. And it was just kind of like a interesting look at like they don't have any grand morals, and like people don't grandstand morals that much when it's just like the things that actually are happening to you. So it's pretty interesting. It's a wild like a look at humanity, and it definitely has like a darker look, but it's not completely dark because it has like people that aren't. Some shows like everyone's a villain and it's like this person's bad and this person's bad. Like Breaking Bad is a show like that where
Yeah.
like literally everyone is a terrible person. Nobody's like an actual good guy. And this show doesn't have that. Like it has people that are actually like trying to do their best. And
Well, in a way, that's like those are the characters like Armin and
yeah,
Mikasa and
Levi is like
Levi.
very straight about his like
Yeah,
approach to things.
Henji,
Yeah, and
um,
Irwin were
Erwin.
all
Like they were all, they did what they did to survive, and the reason they did that to survive was for a greater goal that they
yeah.
saw.
Mhm.
Like, and that doesn't make you the greatest person on earth. It doesn't
Yeah.
even necessarily make you a good person, but it makes you a person that it divides you from the person that goes out and murders somebody on the street.
Yeah.
Like,
And this is an interesting parallel with um Vinland Saga. Attack on Titan's like main character compared to Vinland Saga's main character, because they both have a similar situation and then they both like switch completely opposite
yeah,
directions. Thorfinn becomes this like peace focused person that doesn't want to fight and hurt people, and he doesn't see other people as enemies. He just wants like to do whatever he can to keep peace, but he will like fight if it's the very last like situation. He's kind of like struggling
okay, yeah, that makes
with
sense.
what his philosophy should be. And Aaron is just like, I'm going to kill everyone
Yeah,
so
right.
that way there's no like
Yeah, it was.
way to like there's my best defense is just like complete offense, just like
Yeah,
killing everyone, and then there won't be any need to defend against them.
I
So
would say it's like, so. Before we started a podcast, we were referring to this as like Evangelion,
yeah.
like levels of like mix upery.
Yeah.
Um, the whole plot line and story, I don't think was like Evangelion level of like in depthness of
Yeah.
why this is happening and
Hmm.
why what's going on. Like this was, I like how you put it, and I feel like this is how I'm gonna describe Attack on Titan from now on. Aaron is stupid.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how this all
Yeah.
happened. Like if he was maybe if he was an L type of character or
Yeah.
a light type of character, maybe 80% of humanity wouldn't have to
Wouldn't
die.
die. Yeah.
But nope, he was the protagonist that wanted to kill all the Titans,
Yeah.
and this is where we got.
Like one of the things he could do is like, I hold all the power. I can obliterate everyone at any moment. Leave us alone. Like he could
And
have
they were
done.
trying to go that route in
Yeah.
earlier seasons. I think 3 and 4, they were talking like, can't we just like somewhat blackmail the rest of the world, with,
Yeah.
like leaving us alone? Like, can't we do like a partial rumble
Mhm.
or something like that?
And then the worry is that they'll like send airstrikes in or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's all these different ideas that like things didn't play out easily, but there's probably a way it could have worked out. But Aaron is just not that kind of person. He is just going to obliterate everyone.
Yep.
And so it's really interesting because Aaron is in the end is the antagonist. And and it's just a really interesting story. It's also like a very risky story. One of the things in storytelling is you can tell when a story is like it's trying to do something wild.
Yeah.
And when it does that, it's either really good or it just completely falls flat and just is like atrocious to watch because suddenly some major twist happens and it's like, what was the point of this? This show sucks, turn it off. Or it's like Attack on Titan where it actually pays off, which they did a really good job. And I love stories like Attack on Titan because they try new things in storytelling.
Yeah.
And so turning like the main hero into the main antagonist while also being like a good antagonist, like if you look at Aaron just as an antagonist, like the villain of the story, he's a really good villain. He
Yeah.
has interesting, like, he wants to kill his enemies because they're going to kill him. He cares about the
In a
people
way,
close to
it's
him.
kind of like we get to see that classic antagonist that like you kind of side with after their monologue. We
Yeah.
get to see them grow up and become the antagonist. Like in that show that every anime has, where you're looking at this villain and you're just like, this villain's got like the right idea,
Yeah.
but like our hero
But
has to stop him.
yeah, yeah. So Aaron's like a really cool character,
Yeah.
and the story's just a very risky and interesting story. I think Attack on Titan, when you think about anime in general, it's kind of like a tier above like most things. Like you'll see a lot of shows and it's like this is a good show, and Attack on Titan is like beyond that. Like when you think of like Attack on Titan, and there's a lot of like big anime, and the reason they're big is that like the work and ideas and concepts and wild stuff that they do is just like a tier above like pretty much everything else.
Yeah.
And so even though there's a lot of flaws in it, I think one of the critiques I had at the beginning of it that I still have is that like it some of the ways the characters reacted to stuff felt like an author who had never experienced loss trying to explain loss. So it was like this person died and they're just like freaking out and everyone kind of acts the same about the situation, whereas like realistically people don't all react the same way. Like a weird example is in Star Wars Rebels when Kanan dies. Like
Mhm.
it shows every character reacting in a different way of how they deal with the grief of losing him,
Right.
and it's a really really good episode. And in this show, it's just like everyone just loses their mind constantly, and like the over emphasis of fear is kind of like too much sometimes, where
I
it's
can
just
kind of
like
get that.
someone gets bitten in half in front of them and they're soldiers and they're just like, I'm gonna die, and they're just like
Yeah.
crying and sitting in a corner. It's like, okay, you're kind of trained for this specifically, and it's not like a few characters are like that. It's like almost everyone is like that.
Especially like in like specifically in the early seasons. Like
Mhm.
in a way though, I think it was them trying to portray like children having to
Yeah.
do a job that like not even a grown adult soldier should have to do.
Yeah, and that kind of
And
makes
like
sense
it
too.
was the corrupt, in a way it was the corrupt I think Aaron, or not Aaron, what's Arwen, the old leader of the scouts,
Yeah.
even said this, like he leads children into battle to die
Yeah.
because corrupt officials, like the military police,
Yeah.
that's the cushy job. They're
Yeah.
the inner walls, and like that's what everybody strives to get to. But like all the old people, all the adults, they want to be there.
Yeah.
They don't want to be in the scout regiment.
And that makes sense too, yeah.
So
It's
like I get like
it's a
your,
messed up thing, but there's just certain things where it's just like it's just a
it
little
is
bit
over the top. I agree with
overboard.
that. Like you would think after they see their fifth or sixth person get eaten by a titan, you're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I probably should try to stop this.
Like they're either extremely hardened like Irwin or Levi, who like Levi even deals with like he gets like frustrated and upset and sad when like his comrades die.
yeah,
He doesn't lose his mind over it, but it's
no,
like it bothers him. And like Irwin, who's like facing like what he's dealing with and stuff. But it just feels like everyone, but even them, it feels like it's a little bit, I don't know, like you if you hear like soldiers talk about like especially like snipers and stuff that have like killed a lot of people and like
yeah,
watched the whole thing, they, even though they definitely struggle with things like internally, a lot of times they kind of shove it down and it's like, and like even if they have a lot of problems from it, it's not super apparent. And Attack on Titan just makes everybody's emotions like, which is just an anime thing in
yeah.
general, just like front and center.
And yeah, in a way though, that does kind of add to the drama of it as well, I
Yeah.
guess. And I guess it's artistic style. Like I personally never really, I guess in season one, when I first dropped season one, like I watched season one back in
Mhm.
like 2016, or it was like right before season two came out.
Yeah.
And like I watched it and I'm like, you know what? There's just too much screaming going on in this
Yeah.
anime. I don't think I want to watch it. Like, so I kind of get the screaming part, the losing their mind. But watching it again and then watching um season two and like later on, it's just like
Mhm.
it kind of adds to like the drama of it. Like each
Yeah.
death felt like it actually hurt the
Yeah.
people instead of them becoming hardened soldiers. Like, oh, Larry's dead.
Yeah. Like, it definitely should have moments, but it just, especially I think this is more in the beginning. I just feel like there could be a little bit more subtlety to it. Like, I
Yeah,
feel like if you take it 2 notches down, it gets, like, dull.
yeah,
But if you have it, like, where it's at or a notch above, it's, like, kinda over the top where it's, like, too much.
I get what you're saying.
But I do feel like there could be a little bit more subtlety in the way that people react. Because it feels like, I guess my main problem is everyone reacts the same to every situation. Like the
Oh
same
yeah,
like terrified look that like the one guy has in season 2 where he gets killed by the Beast Titan is
yeah.
the same look that literally everyone has whenever they get killed, whenever someone dies in front of them. They all just have this like terrified like horror
Yeah, you
thing.
never see somebody just get really angry, and then it's like,
Yeah.
like you kind of see it in like you're mentioning Rebels, but even in Clone Wars, like
Yeah.
the storm, like all the clone troopers, they're all the same,
Mhm.
but like when like some of them get shot down, like when they're getting overrun by the battle droids,
Yeah.
some of them like they just like stay calm. Some of
Yeah.
them might like retreat a little bit, but there's always a couple of them that just kind of like start like I don't know punching the droids sometimes, or
Yeah.
like just like hitting them with their weapons. Like they all act differently,
Yeah.
which is like clones is kind of weird. You think they'd all act the same, but like I kind of get what you're saying. Like, you kind of want something more like that. Like where's that one guy that just kind of goes ballistic
Yeah.
and like does something stupid, and he ends up dying, but like he does something stupid to
Yeah.
like
And there's
avenge
kind
his
of like,
friends or
I
something
think
like that.
Levi gets that way a little bit. He like gets mad and then just like cuts down a bunch of titans and
Yeah,
stuff. But it's like he's like the only one that reacts that way. Like there's like nobody else that
but it also felt like Levi had plot armor through like season
Levi
one
was
to like
just
four.
Levi was just the strongest like
And then like
person
they
ever.
realized like, oh right, he just basically almost just like killed the Beast Titan in like 2 hits.
Yeah.
Maybe we should like I don't know, like
Levi, I love things where the human, the like normal average human is feared beyond everyone else.
yeah.
Like
This short like oh my god, watching the ending too, like when he's standing up like when Henji and him are like face to face, like shoulder to shoulder,
yeah.
he is like so much shorter than her. And
Yeah.
it's just kind of they're
He
having this
is
heartfelt moment, but at the same time, I'm
he
just like
just
thinking like, oh my god, I forgot how
like
short he
short Levi
was.
is, yeah. Well, talking about the first couple of seasons, I think my favorite season's probably 3.
Yep.
3 has like I like the 4 seemed a bit rushed, I think, with how much that they explained in one
Yeah.
season.
It felt like it went from like a good paced action show to like now we're gonna tell you everything
Everything, yeah.
right now.
And so season 3 I think had the best like crazy things that are happening within the world, big like altering moments, mysteries being revealed, and then some really strong moments for like the finale of characters
Yeah.
and stuff. And also I like the Wit Studio animation a little bit more than the Mappa animation. Wit
Really?
Wit was a little bit more. It was a little bit more cartoonish, kind of. I
Oh,
guess.
okay, like character drawn movies.
Yeah.
Yes, I liked.
I also thought the action of like how they did the like 2D like flying through the streets was really cool, and it was a little bit better than Mappa. Mappa relied a little bit more on CGI with the Titans and stuff, but there were also parts of Wit that looked worse than Mappa's version. But anyways, so I like those better. And then like Irwin, I think is probably my favorite character of the series. And so having him like his full arc and stuff was really cool. But I also just like the vibe of the story when it was more like humans against the Titans and kind of what's going on, and you don't know like the whole deal. And then it turns into Aaron like being the villain, which is really interesting concept, but it's not like the most interesting part of the story for me. It was more interesting when it was like them being part of a bigger thing instead of them being the big thing, like the main characters.
Yeah.
So,
No,
and
I
all
was
the
actually just
attack like plans and like the big fights that were very like coordinated and like figuring out how to like do everything that they're trying to do with the crazy like situation that they're in, and just I don't know, getting introduced to the world for me is more interesting usually than like having the conclusion of whatever massive threat they have to fight.
yeah, I was actually just looking at the art style and like a little bit of the characters in season 3, and I forgot like so much happened in season 3, like the coup and all. What was it? The coup?
Yeah, the coup
The coup happened in
happens.
season 3. The Ackerman, Levi's
Yeah,
art,
Levi's like backstory and
like
everything.
all of that happened. It was so good too. And yes, the art style is much better by
Yeah.
Wit. I don't know why. Like, okay, Mappa has proven, especially in the last couple years, that they can do a myriad of different art styles.
Yeah.
I don't know why they went with like the super realistic kind of
Kind of
JoJo art
yeah, it was kind of
style,
like JoJo art style, which is weird.
which is it works, but like it was so like off-putting for like the
Yeah.
first couple
It
episodes of
was
season 4.
it is
Like
different.
especially like characters like Mikasa.
Yeah.
Like I really liked how they did Mikasa's like art style, where she was like that very stoic but yet also feminine character.
Yeah.
And then like in season 4, she just turned into like this muscle clad
Yeah.
woman, and you're just like, and then the funniest part is like they put her in a dress in like one scene. It's just like, this does not fit at all.
Yeah.
Like what the heck?
And it's like it wasn't that she looked like a guy, it was that she didn't look like Mikasa. She looked
No.
totally different character. It's like, who is this? Is like the first thing you thought when you first saw her in season 4, and then it's like, oh, this is Mikasa. Okay. Because she just does not look anything like she does
Well, and also like
in the beginning of the
season 3
series.
also just has like my favorite character, which is Sasha.
Yeah, Sasha's great.
Like I'm still kind of mad and upset that Sasha didn't get to make it to the end.
I know Sasha's ending was rough.
Like, yeah, that was just rough. But
One of the things I like about Attack on Titan that's through the entire show is the idea that any character can die at any time.
mm-hmm.
And so there's definitely moments like Sasha surviving like the one Titan while she's like saving the little girl or whatever in that like one small section of the story.
Yeah,
was really good because there's the risk that she could die, and I guess the original draft he had of the story, she was gonna die in that moment, and then decided to change it. I think the editors like suggested he changes it because everyone was just dying and like everything that happened. So like moments like that were really tense because you're like, this character could definitely die here, and it fits with the story because it just has moments where like, oh, look at this character, he's really cool, and then something happened and he just dies, and
Yep.
it's just like to show the power of the Titans.
For a while in season 1 and 2, like a character would get like 2 lines of dialogue
Yeah.
and just be dead.
And then be dead.
And
then
you're
it
just
was
like, okay,
this character's important, and then dies. And then there's like the charge of Erwin in season 3 that kills like a
and then
ton of
everybody
people. Yeah,
dies,
it's like,
and you're just like, I don't
dang,
know.
you
Like,
guys-
is Aaron,
yeah,
Armin, and
Yeah,
fucking there
like-
next? Like,
yeah, when Armin gets fried.
oh yeah, when
you're
Armin gets fried, you're just like, oh,
is
okay.
Armin gonna die? Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot of good things about Attack on Titan. There's a few things that I don't love. I feel like how much the story changes is kind of cool and kind of something I don't like at the same time, because it
Yeah.
feels like the beginning of what you're getting into is drastically different than the story that it's actually telling, because the ending turns into this really philosophical like it's still kind of grounded, but it's kind of also like heavily thematic about world and history and time and everything, and,
Yeah,
and
and then
fate
season-
and like all these concepts get like thrown around, and it
then
does feel like
season,
it's
1, 2, and 3 are just like a post-apocalyptic like
yeah
survival show, and that's why a lot of people liked it as well. Like,
yeah. So
It's definitely
it's really
definitely a change.
interesting story. I also feel like one of the problems with the ending that I looked up, like what do people dislike about it? One of the things isn't like what happened, but more how it was told, because it which is part of why I think it would have been better if it was a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And so they were talking about like uh Aaron talking about like Mikasa and stuff, like that reveal that he liked her. Some people felt was in a cheap way of him just like whining about it.
Yeah.
I liked it. I feel like that scene had more things to do than just Aaron and Mikasa's relationship, because I don't think that was ever like that important to
No,
the
I don't think it
story.
was like a
Like
huge aspect of it
like
at
it was
all.
more people just got invested into it because of the characters.
Right.
But yeah, it was more like how it was told, how it was portrayed instead of like what actually happened, which I can understand, especially with how the manga was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like overall, I guess the progression of the show, it definitely feels like it hits a huge like plot twist.
Yeah.
Especially like after we find out like that the titans that break the walls are like from outside of the walls, right?
Yeah.
And like they are there to end the Eldians because like the world's afraid of them.
Yeah.
Like they're set there to kill everybody. But it's definitely interesting. I don't
I
know.
think one of the things that I was thinking about the ending that it doesn't have much of is like single big moments.
Yeah.
Like during the series there's a ton of them that I can think of, like the second time the colossal titan appears,
Yeah.
because it was like the first time was when he was a kid, and then the second time it's like he just trained and he was kind of like optimistic about we're gonna like fight back against the titans, things are gonna do good, and then the colossal titan appears behind him, and it was like
Right.
such a
Yeah.
massive moment of just like this changes everything.
Yeah.
And the ending of the series didn't feel like it had a big single big moment. It felt like a bunch of little things of like, this is the history of this thing. This is this character's backstory. This is like this thing going on. And even like the very end of Mikasa like killing Aaron
Yeah.
was kind of sudden and not like super epic. It just felt kind of like it happened. And I liked it that it was sudden. I like things that don't like drag on forever, of like
Right.
her flying and having like a monologue or whatever. But it also just felt like it wasn't building up to that and then it being like boom and then it's like big moment. It was just
Right.
kind of like, okay, she killed him.
Yeah.
And it's like in shows like Demon Slayer, there's like you can think of the big moments of like Tanjiro killing like the one spider demon. Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
such a massive like singular moment in the series. And even shows that aren't like completely actiony, because Attack on Titan's actiony, but it's kind of more of like the action isn't the main part of it. It's more of like a thriller kind of like
Yeah, it's
thing
more like
going down.
a thriller drama
Yeah. So like
where
some of the
yeah.
dramatic moments of like Aaron, because even within Attack on Titan, there's so many moments that are like, whoa, this is the mind blowing moment. And like him telling his dad like to like manipulating him to do certain things.
Yeah.
Like that like scene that became a meme of him like whispering in his ears, where people just put like any subtitles to that and it's hilarious. But like it has that. The ending just, I don't feel like it really had those like whoa kind of like
Well,
thing to it.
honestly, the one moment that was like a whoa to me was actually just the very end where they're showing like the city like grow up. And then get
Yeah.
destroyed. I'm like, oh whoa, that was interesting. They showed that, but like the entire like them fighting Aaron and like the rumbling and stuff. Like besides for maybe like the Titans becoming friend or like fighting for them again.
Yeah.
Like that was the only whoa moment I had. And I agree with you, like Attack on Titan, like I guess maybe them
I guess
well
like the
it's
reveal that Aaron was planning all of this was kind of like cool, where it
that
was
was a
like
whoa moment,
you're
yeah.
gonna kill all this stuff, and
But like
then
overall, I
I
can't even
guess
think of a time like even fighting the Beast Titan, that wasn't even like a whoa moment.
yeah, like
That
one of
was
the coolest moments I guess was Levi killing Zeke was really cool.
but even
But
still, like
that
we
still
talked
wasn't
about that.
like, it
That
was
was
really
just like
quick.
a
It was very
done
side,
and
yeah.
over. Like it wasn't like it wasn't a music swells and like
Yeah.
there's a slight dialogue between them or like
Like
a monologue. It
the
was just like
moment
done.
where Erwin like charges them and
Yeah.
then Levi comes from the side and defeats the Beast Titan. Like that moment was
That moment,
crazy
yes.
awesome.
That was a different type of moment. That was definitely a shonen we have
Yeah.
one moment type
Where
of
it was
thing.
like he kills like most of the soldiers and he's like, that was your plan, just charge at me, and then he's like, oh crap.
Yeah.
And that like was a really cool thing. I don't know, the ending, I feel like that's part of just how it was told, where it didn't ever blow my mind in the way the series had before, but I also don't think the ending was bad or like uninteresting. I just feel like it could have used just a little bit more time, and I feel like that's people's main complaint with it. But the way people were talking about like this being so terrible was not anything like it actually is. Like people
Right.
are like, it's a 4 out of 10 ending. It's like an 8 out of 10 ending in an otherwise like 9 out of 10 show.
Yeah, like I kind of want to talk about like that. Like everybody was so mad about the manga ending,
Mm-hmm.
and I purposely didn't spoil it for myself because I wanted to see what
Yeah.
the anime was gonna do. And then people in like the comments and like discussion are saying, "Oh yeah, they just did the same thing." I'm just like,
Yeah.
how is
It's
that
like
bad?
yeah,
It
how
was
is
a
it?
little confusing, but like if you're any kind of anime watcher, a little confusing is kind of be to
Yeah.
expected because most anime that get a chance to finish, they don't really know where to go.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing if they're able to scramble together a somewhat coherent story to
Yeah.
finish it off instead of just the power of friendship or something like that.
Like no one felt out of place. Like no character felt out of character. They
No,
all felt like it wasn't it wasn't a happy ending, which would be weird if Attack on Titan's ending was like really happy and like we saved everyone. And it wasn't a like super depressing ending either. Like the only person that really died was like Aaron and 80% of humanity. But for the
we're
main
not gonna talk about
characters
them.
that we care about, like
Yeah, it was.
the 80% of humanity thing was also, I think, to even out so that there's no like one group of people that were more
Right.
powerful.
Well, and they even mentioned it's the same population as
Yeah.
Paradise Island.
There was that one thing of like Aaron, it was like if Aaron, which I'm not exactly sure how the time travel idea thing works, if this was like a possible future or if it was something he did and then changed or whatever, but it was like him and um Mikasa living together
just sitting in a cabin.
before they would die. I think part of that was kind of an interesting thing. I think it was partially to show that Aaron like that was probably the more selfish choice Aaron could have made, because it would have just been him, like him extending his life as much as he could.
Yeah.
Whereas this way he destroyed the Titan power so that all of his friends would live like full lives,
Right.
which is a cool thing. It also, I think it I heard people, I didn't really catch it the first time I watched it, but like hearing people talk about it, it was in that situation the Marlians were going to wipe out the Titan people, the
Yes.
Eldians. So it was kind of like his position was, he saw they're going to kill all of us, or I'm going to kill 80% of them and sacrifice myself to get rid of the Titan power and kind of make everything kind of fair.
Yeah, and that in a way, in a really messed up way, I get that aspect.
Yeah.
Like I get that he had to do that.
And it fits Aaron's philosophy of freedom, where everyone now has like equal opportunity. You can go to war, you can try to be at peace.
Besides for the 80% of people that died.
Yeah, besides for the 80% of people that died, everyone is like free. You're fair. Everything's fair. You know, no one has stupid powers.
Yeah.
You can hate each other. You can do whatever you want. So
in a way, I kind of feel like because his aspect of freedom was so different than, say, like to put it in our minds, but the average American.
Yeah.
Like Aaron's aspect of freedom was literally he did not want to live in walls.
Yeah.
And like he didn't understand. Like, yeah, he lived amongst the Marleyans for I think a couple years because it was a time skip, right? It was like a year or two, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It was a little while.
It was a little while because they all grew a little bit older.
Mm-hmm.
But like he got to live amongst those people, and even still, he still did the same thing.
Yeah,
like he saw like the bad in them still, and I think he at that point basically had that set.
Yeah,
but like his thoughts of freedom were way different than I think what a normal person would think freedom is.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, his freedom was more like balance.
Yeah.
He wanted everything balanced.
wanted
where people
everyone-
had an equal opportunity. They could nuke each other, they could kill each
Yeah.
other, but at least it wasn't Titans killing humans.
Because, yeah, part of the thing of at the end where he was like, I am going to wipe out all of our enemies. You are free to stop me. You have freedom. You
Yeah.
fight me. My freedom is I'm going to kill everyone. Your freedom is you can try to stop me.
Right.
And it was like, it's a terrible, like he's a psychopath, but it's cool to see what his character is like about.
Right.
Of like, he's kind of like a parody of a shonen like protagonist too,
Mhm.
where it's like he went overboard with like Luffy is like a big like person about freedom and stuff. It's like
Yeah.
he took these general like shonen good guy concepts and twisted them to an extreme and made it like a bad thing.
Yeah.
And that's like a really interesting idea that's definitely like coming across as like a shonen parody, which is kind of interesting. All of Attack on Titan kind of is a shonen parody because it starts out like classic shonen kind of like
Yep.
style of story, and then it just turns into like the main hero good guy is actually a psycho murderer. And
Yeah, it's just like, oh yeah, he just wants to kill everybody.
yeah, it's like that's his idea of freedom. And,
Yeah.
yeah. So and like pushing, because shonen's always like pushing forward and accomplishing your dreams and like doing everything. It's like, what if your dreams are, I want to kill all my enemies?
Yeah. Well, it's like most true shonen, like thinking Naruto. Naruto's a big component about this, but like fairy tale and stuff.
Yeah.
The shonen protagonist never was like violence is the answer.
Yeah.
It was more like violence will get me where I want to go.
Yeah.
And like they never really killed.
Like I have to fight the bad guy because he's he's
early.
threatening my friends. Kind
Right.
of thing.
Had to defeat the bad guy. Not outright.
This is
murder
like
them.
I have to murder all of the peoples
Yeah.
to save my people.
So it's interesting. Like Attack on Titan was definitely the Game of Thrones, where it's just like
Yeah.
every other week somebody's gonna die.
Yeah.
And if somebody wasn't dying, then a lot of people were dying.
Yeah.
Mainly townsfolk and 80% of the world population.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's gonna be one of those series that I think people like us that have a podcast that talk about random anime are probably gonna talk about for years on
Yeah.
end. Because like it's a 10-year-old series for
Yeah.
anime because it was made in
Debut
2013.
in 2013, yeah.
10 years, which is pretty long for an anime to actually end.
Yeah.
Like, there's very few. It stands up amongst the giants of Naruto and Bleach and
Mm-hmm.
well, even like Naruto and Bleach, they're still going. Like,
Yeah.
but it stands up like amongst like those anime now, the animes that actually made it. So it's cool to see a series actually get an ending. And at least in my opinion, I think yours as well. It's like an ending that wasn't a cop out.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't like some people say like the Soul Eater anime adaptation
Yeah.
cop out of friendship is magic.
Yeah. Or
That's
this
why the
was all a
bad guys-
dream or whatever.
That too,
Like,
or
Aaron figured it out and changed all
Yeah.
of history, whatever.
like it was like they lived with their consequences
Yeah.
and they made things work, which
Yeah.
is I think a lot better than the time got reset.
Yeah.
Or like,
Or
oh,
we
I just
we
went back in time and nothing
solved-
of this happened.
We solved war. There's
Yeah.
no more war or whatever. Like, yeah, it does come across that way. Like, that's a good way to put it. Just they made it work. They didn't solve everything. They didn't fix everything. They just like made it work. They did the best they could.
Yep.
And it's also a idea of one person gets too much power, it's always going to go badly.
I
'Cause
think so.
Aaron gets too much power and he just wipes out a bunch of people, but it's like he still did the best he could. That was like the best he could come up with. He also just wanted to kill people like his enemies, but that's kind of the best he could come up with. It's like he talked
A
to
psycho murderer that really likes his friend.
the scene with him and Armin was really good.
I like
where
that,
they
the
both
talk.
they both just the whole conversation could be summed up with "see you in hell." And
Yeah, that was so great. Just like I'll be waiting for you
Yeah.
in hell.
it's
just
like, heck yeah.
that was kind of
Yeah.
good. Like, Oh, I like seeing little things. Did you notice? So Armin talks about how he's like always having this dream of like chasing Eren and Mikasa up the hill.
Yeah.
Did you see in the final credits that after Mikasa dies, so
Yeah.
there's the two tombstones, the guy comes up and that's Eren? Like
Yeah.
they don't say specifically. That was just kind of cool. Like he's always last.
He's he's last in everything.
That was kind of a
So
cool aspect of it. But for a show that I used to dub as like Scream Titan,
yeah.
where it's just Eren screaming at Titans to die.
Yeah.
It ended a lot more maturely and better than I thought it was
Yeah.
gonna. Like obviously he got what he wanted and killed a lot of things,
yeah.
but I don't know. It was good.
It was interesting. I
Like
feel like part of the thing of Attack on Titan is such a like a wide grasp. Like most stories, it's like they end, you see the characters where they end up, and then
yeah.
it ends. This show is the kind of show where it's like not only do we see the end of their lives where like they grow old and die, we also say like a whole thing of history of like new civilizations being birthed.
That was the
and then-
wildest part to me. Just
and
like when they
then-
kept on going, I was just
Yeah.
like, I get showing like Mikasa grow old and die.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, okay, that'll be the end of it. Nope.
This would
Keeps
have
on
been like
going.
if Lord of the Rings ended and then it was like, and then this happened and all the elves and the dwarves died off and stuff, and then it turned into real world
Right.
Earth, and then like
For
it
a
went through all
second-
of our real history.
For a second, that's what I thought they were doing, especially when they started
Yeah.
getting towards like the more modern times.
Yeah.
Where there's cars and stuff. I thought they were gonna be like nowadays Tokyo
Yeah,
or
nowadays.
something. I was just like, wait, where are they going?
That would have been really funny.
That would have been wild.
It just went to modern day.
yeah.
And it goes to the author writing the story. And it's like the
Zooms
last
to him, just
the
like that's
last
all.
descendant of the Marlians or whatever's mind's still vaguely connected, and
That would be wild.
learn the history.
Yeah.
That'd be a pretty
That'd be
epic.
interesting, but yeah.
Yeah.
In a way, like so, not too long ago, I guess 2021 ish, we had the end of Evangelion,
yeah.
and like the way this ends and the way end of Evangelion goes, it's not the same, but it feels very similar.
Yeah.
In the way they do things, like Shinji figured it out at the end. Like he
Yeah.
couldn't have. Well, in a way, he had his perfect ending,
Mm-hmm.
but also in other ways, like he had to do what he had to do.
Mm-hmm.
And like Eren was in a very different way, but also very similar story points. Had the same choices to make in a way.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. Two series like that kind of ending around the same time and also kind of having like similar story points. It kind of just tells you like there's only so many different ways you can write a story and
Yeah.
so
I'm really curious what Attack on Titan would be like if it didn't go down the path it did.
yeah.
Like if it stuck to its like post-apocalyptic like idea.
Yeah, like what happens if instead of them being on an island, it literally was the world
Yeah.
and they had to like find the source of the Titans or something.
Yeah,
like that.
and like defeat that. Like how different would that be?
yeah, like although it changed the story point changed from that to something more nefarious as soon as what's the armored titan, you find out who the
Yeah.
armored titan, the colossal titan are. Like that was very early on.
Yeah.
Like from that point on, I don't know. Once you find out that they're human, I don't know how you go a very much different route.
Yeah, you would have to do something like there's another group of humanity that's like also in that predicament or something, and they just wanted to
And
kill
they get the Titan's power
them so that
yeah.
they could take it over or something. Like
right.
you could go different ways of making it.
Yeah.
Like that would be more like a political like thriller kind of story, whereas this is
right.
not so much that because the politics are like massive.
But even still, that kind of goes the same route of there's two humanities
Yeah.
still fighting each other, and that's basically how it goes in this.
Yeah,
Like I think at the end we still probably
you
would have
still
got
pretty
the
much
rumble.
the same
Yeah.
story. Yeah,
And that's kind of how Attack on Titan like makes their story have to be at the very end. It's just like no matter which way you kind of go, it very much seems to end the same way.
yeah.
So, yeah,
Good story.
I love
Very
it.
bizarre.
I don't think it's like my favorite. I don't think.
Yeah,
top 10, I'd say.
I think there's a certain point where stories get too much where like it's a really cool story and it's a really cool idea, but I kind of like zone out, kind of distance myself from it at a certain point where it gets too like extreme in the concepts that it's portraying, because like I can't really like put myself in this situation. I can't really feel what the characters are feeling because this is such a bizarre, like over the top like thing happening. Like you can't fathom 80% of humanity just dying like that.
Yeah.
Like that's just not a it unless you've experienced been through like the Black Plague or something. You don't know like the ramifications or what you would even feel about that.
Right.
Cuz it's like yeah, it's just I think it's kind of the same thing with like Marvel movies where it gets to the point where it's so much, it's such a big threat and whatever that it's like I don't really I can't really like comprehend it anymore and I can't care about it as much if it was just like Irwin dying or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I care more about Irwin's death than I do 80% of humanity dying because just kind of like, oh yeah, 80% of humanity died. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, the only time they really made it feel real was the cliff scene with the people.
Yeah.
Like, but also like at the same time,
Like
every disaster show or movie
yeah.
kind of has
Like you
that
kind of
same
have
thing.
that like super extreme. So it's not like it's just a thing, I guess, that I like certain kinds of stories more than stories like this in general,
Yeah,
where it gets to this point. But yeah.
I think I'm the same way. I like Attack on Titan. I'm glad I was part of watching it through. Um, I'm glad I got to witness the story, but at the same time, I'm also not sure if I'll ever really. It's not gonna be a show I want to go back and rewatch anytime soon.
Yeah.
Like I am glad I've seen it. I love the story, but it's
Mhm.
not like a top 10 show that I want to go back and watch like every year or
Yeah.
something like that.
Like I'll probably rewatch it at some point, but it's not a show I'm like, man, I really want to go back and
Yeah, like
experience the whole thing again.
so like when Evangelion ended, I was like, okay, I kind of want to go back and rewatch the series.
Mhm.
But like when this ended, I was just like, okay, like I remember how it went, and I'm like, okay, I don't really want
Yeah.
to. I'm satisfied.
I feel like part of it too is rewatching it knowing what's going to happen. Like the mysteries were a big part of the show, I feel like is what really
Oh
made it
yeah, especially
interesting.
like the basement, like what's in the basement,
Yeah,
and
also
then
like
like,
Aaron is really like the ending kind of made him more unlikable than he already
oh for
was.
sure,
So it's just like I hate this guy. He turns into like the
especially
worst person in humanity.
all of his monologues from season 1 to like 3
Yeah.
are gonna be so much
Yeah.
worse when you realize how much of an a-hole he
Yeah.
is. Just like,
I do find it funny that scene where he's like a child explaining to Armin what's gonna happen, and he's like, "Yeah, like drop kick you and like say mean things to Mikasa." I kind of got carried away, and it's like it was kind of funny that he's just like, "I'm kind of stupid. I just let my emotions get the better of me and put on a show like too much
yeah,
and stuff like that." It's kind of funny because he's not that cool. He's just like he just tried too hard to be edgy. He felt like this is the only thing he could do. I don't know. He's a really interesting character, but he's not like a super. I'm not like a big Aaron fan. I don't want like an Aaron
no.
poster because
Well,
he's
I don't really want the anime version of Hitler on my wall. So
yeah, like worse than Hitler, who just like
kind of,
murdered so much of humanity. So
but yeah, it was a fun ride. I'm
yeah,
glad that we also got to talk about it too. I wanted to talk about it and just kind of work things out.
yeah,
Most anime, I have to work things out in my head after the series
yeah,
because you forget so many little details and stuff like that. So
yeah, and
it's
what like
interesting.
all the little ideas that are going on.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting story.
Yep. Like I said, I think people will talk about it for a long time afterwards. It's definitely got enough story and like plot points and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It'll be discussed as like one of the better. I hope so.
Yeah.
It's kind of divided, but I think a lot of people call it one of the better anime of.
Yeah, some people really hated the ending, but like even just season 3, season 2, like
Yeah,
most of season 4 people just loved cuz it was
for sure.
such a very unique show, and that's kind of what's special about it.
Yeah. But overall, I think that's the end of today's episode. So
Yep,
unless you got anything major.
think that's it.
All right. Well, this was fun. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Hopefully you like this episode. We might do, I don't know. I kind of like the way this went. Maybe we'll have to do something more like this more often, more
The
like
next
retrospective of shows and
big
stuff like that.
series
Yeah.
ends.
Well, I think we'll do it for probably Zom 100. Even though that's not like ending, but there's a good chance it might not get season 2. So
Hopefully it does.
but yeah, thank you all for watching. Please hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You know what? If you see a button, just click it at this point, because that's what the algorithms want you to do. And yeah, hope you like it, and we'll see you all in the next one.
Jammy.
Bye.